Conversation with Rufus Williams and the Morning Show at 591-1690. We are the talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Wednesday. It is the 23rd of July, the year 2026. It's the Rufus Williams Show. I am Rufus Williams, and as always, thrilled, delighted, and just so excited to be here with you this morning. And thank you so much for waking up with Rufus. As you may see, if you are on StreamYard, I'm not in the studio. I am at the beautiful Seven Bridges Golf Course, the site of the Gift of Hope golf outing today. We'll get a chance, I hope, within the next half an hour to have a conversation with the executive director of Gift of Hope, Audrina Spence. Gift of Hope, as you know, is about organ donation. And it's one of these things that becomes so important in our community because so often you've got to have the right people, the right makeup, the right things in order to do this donation. And plus, you need to make sure you sign up so if something happens, somebody can benefit from that. We know it very well personally. Our very own Atiba Buchanan very recently got a kidney transplant. But for that, he had been struggling with dialysis for a number of years. This was so opportune for him that we know it, see it, and feel it personally, and wishing him nothing but success with his transplant and with his return to us here on WVON. So out here, tea time is at 9 o'clock. So rather than me trying to getting here late, why not come out here in this beautiful environment and do the show? So here we are. As we begin, the very first, well, it won't be the first thing, but today would have been my dad's 98th birthday. We lost him back in 2017. And I want to just wish him a very happy heavenly birthday. You know, it's so interesting. I had the opportunity to speak at my dad's services. And so often it's just at the end when you're able to put together the dash and put together the pieces of life that you're able to see how impactful someone is. And I thought about it, and for so much of my life, I won't say we weren't close, because when I thought about it, we actually did do a lot of things together. But of the two sons, I was not the favorite one. But I think being where I was and in the order that I came and all those things and just learning so much, he was quite a guy. And when I think about him, the one thing that I never wondered was where was my dad and what was he doing? Because the thing that we always knew was that he got paid on Friday and groceries were coming home and he was coming home with them. And it was a wonderful thing. So a number of lessons that came and what he taught me in different ways. And I so appreciate him for that. And so happy heavenly birthday, Dad. Let's see. Yesterday, Annette, we spent a lot of time here on WVON, not like a lot of other places, but we played the fullness of the press conference with Ben Crump and the parents of Nolan Xavier Wells. What did you take from that press conference?
Wow, that's a very big question. There was a lot of information that was given, but the one takeaway is that the cause of death is undetermined pending investigation. And that is mainly based on the fact that, these details are, kind of, shocking in a way. Attorney Crump explained that it is common practice in an autopsy to remove the organs from the body, to examine them, but then they are properly placed into a bag and then placed into the cavity. for either burial or for a second autopsy if ever needed. In this case, not all of Nolan's organs were put back. What was absent was a portion of his throat. And that was very important because of the forensic pathologist, the independent one that Attorney Crump hired, Dr. Roger Mitchell. He's a board certified forensic pathologist of more than 20 years, very well respected way in Mississippi. So out of all the organs that were not there was the throat, as I mentioned. And why that is significant for Attorney Crump, because they need that to help determine the cause of death, especially involving an alleged drowning. So at this stage, being undetermined, they are requesting that the organ be returned so that they can examine it and move forward.
So they could not rule out anything yesterday. They weren't able to say definitively what it was, but they weren't able to rule out anything. And he walked us through pretty painstakingly the things where they were and where they weren't, almost as if he were doing a trial to ensure that the jury understood. We were one of the few places that really carried the entirety of the press conference live. Many others may have jumped in and jumped out and then given a report later, but it was right here that we got that. So this continues, and it was difficult. It's difficult always to talk to parents whose children have died, and you could just see the pain that came through both mom and dad yesterday in this press conference. But it continues on, and we don't know, and it continues on.
That's true. And, another thing Attorney Crump pointed out is that, people were wondering, why did you come all the way to Chicago to conduct this news conference? And it was several things. Of course, it was the 117th NAACP convention going on here. But Attorney Crump did say that Chicago and Mississippi has a connection, and that connection was Emmett Till.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to deliver the findings of that second autopsy, the preliminary autopsy here.
Yeah, there's that connection certainly made. Speaking of Emmett Till, understand the governor is now going to make the 25th of July Emmett Till Day here in the state of Illinois.
Yeah, he made that announcement yesterday, and he's signing it into law. So that's an important move.
Yeah, so some memories need not go away. We need to often be reminded and leave it there for generations to appreciate what this is as well. So so many unfortunate connections in our history and things that simply cannot ever be removed or swept under the rug. Let me jump to Titus for a quick second. Titus, this is WNBA weekend here in Chicago.
Yes, it is. The WNBA All-Star Weekend has officially started. Some players are here now, and unfortunately, the Sky took a tough loss last night against the New York Liberty. They were winning most of the game by 15 points, ended up losing at the very last second of the game, 94-93. So they are now 9-17 on the season. And so, unfortunately, they have no All-Stars this year for the All-Star Weekend. But it still should be a fun weekend. I think it's going to be good. I can't wait. I'm excited. Some festivities are going on at the home court, the Obama Presidential Center home court. There will be practices held there as well. And the mayor is giving away 500 free tickets. So,
Wow.
Make your way to go do something this weekend.
Seems like that's a wonderful thing to do. Asia Wilson's going to be in town. She's going to be at one of our high schools as well, playing with some students over there. I may make it. Probably won't, but she's here. We don't have any stars. That's a familiar refrain, Titus, that the Sky was ahead this time by 12 and somehow managed to snatch defeat right out of the jaws of victory. Seems to be just a continuing theme this year.
Yeah, I mean, it was the last, 2 or 3 games there. Same exact thing happened. So, they got to figure out a way how to learn how to close out games, especially defensively. You can't give up last-second baskets like that, especially easy ones. So, yeah, just make sure that you play better defense going into the second half of the season. But, yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. This is going to be a lot of fun this weekend. I mean, festivities at Wintrust, and then, of course, we got the big game at the United Center. So this is really big for the ladies. So I'm very proud of this moment.
Wait, the All-Star game is not going to be at Wintrust. It's actually going to be at the UC?
Yes, it is. Okay,
so that makes it a little easier to give away 500 seats. There are more seats available, but good. Should be fun. It should be great. Did Angel Reese make the team?
Yes, she did. She's a reserve.
Okay, and there you have it. Let's take a quick break. See if I can get the executive director of the Gifts of Hope to join us when we come back right after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
In July, Vaughn TV has your summer watch list covered. Go behind the headlines with the official launch of Portraits in Color, featuring candid conversations with music executive Matthew Knowles, community leader Jotaka Edie, and actress Danielle Truitt.
My family's very proud. It was very cool to, when the show first came out and to see myself in those credits, with dun, 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 and be like, that's me. That's crazy, It is very cool to be a part of the legacy of Law & Order now.
And that's just the beginning. Premiering this month, Serenity, Strength, and Style with Sylvia Ewing and friends. A fresh new series featuring inspiring conversations about health, wellness, creativity, and living life to the fullest. This July, there's something for everyone on Vaughn TV. Watch on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV Plus, the WVON app, or at Vaughn.tv. Vaughn TV, for the culture, by the culture.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Charmin Ultra Strong. You can use less, better than the rest. Charmin Ultra Strong. Beauty past the clean glass. Charmin Wave Texture, it's the best. Study up, teach your lesson off fresh. Your booty past the clean glass. Yes, sir. Charmin Ultra Strong.
Charmin Ultra Strong with Diamond Weave Texture cleans better than a leading one-ply brand, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
For 70 years, the Humane Society of the United States has worked to end animal cruelty. Now, we're continuing that mission as Humane World for Animals, because we work around the globe to care for animals who are suffering today. And we tackle the root causes of cruelty for a kinder tomorrow. We are Humane World for Animals, and together, we can make a difference. Help make change for animals. Visit humaneworld.org.
Hello, Chicagoland. This is your main man, T.O., Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman. I'm inviting all of my friends, associates, and colleagues to tune in to WVON, the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM for the T.O., Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman Show. This show will cover all the hottest topics, including politics, reducing gun violence, and so much more. Right here every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM, WVON. Thank you.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
WVON traffic and weather now.
We're starting out this morning on Tuskegee Airmen Memorial inbound. You do want to look out for an accident at Halstead. Luckily, it's off to the left shoulder, not affecting your travel times for a couple reasons. It's off to the side and traffic pretty light. Your Ford, things are light there as well. Ryan off to a 20-minute start from 95th Street into downtown. As you make your way along DuSable Lakeshore Drive, no problem, no delays. Right now, the city has closed down all the streets through Grant Park, as crews are now officially setting up for Lollapalooza this Thursday. If you're on the Stevenson, you're off to a 35-minute start from I-355 to DuSable Drive 40, traveling out. The Eisenhower already 51 minutes. From Thorndale to the Burns Circle, 50 on the return. And the Kennedy, pretty heavy in both directions already. 33 minutes in from O'Hare to downtown, getting to the airport, a slow-moving 42-minute trip. Taking a look at our weather, it almost feels like fall this morning. Temperatures actually in some areas started out in the 50s. The National Weather Service says another mild day ahead, some sunshine as temperatures climb into the 70s. 79 is our official high. Our low tonight, 57. We're starting out at 61 at O'Hare, is 61 in Auburn Gresham, and 61 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm in Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel. We will not be held responsible for any accidents. It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Did I tell you on video?
No, because I don't have any makeup on, but I'm going to go.
You look good without makeup. So y'all can't pull that off. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's Rufus Williams, still out here at beautiful Seven Bridges Golf Course, joined this morning right here, right now, by the Executive Director of Gift of Hope, Miss Audrina Spence. Welcome back to WVON.
Thank you, Rufus. It's a pleasure to be here.
No, it's good to have you. This becomes, as I mentioned earlier, important to us for so many reasons, because we did have one of our colleagues just have a new kidney, and just the need to participate in what this is. Talk to us about Gift of Hope, what it is, what you do, and what we need to know.
Thank you. Again, I'm Audrina Spence, the Executive Director of the Gift of Hope Community Foundation, which is the philanthropic arm of Gift of Hope Organ and Tissue Donor Network. Gift of Hope Organ and Tissue Donor Network coordinates deceased organ donation. And as you just stated, you talked about a colleague who had a kidney transplant. Our communities are disproportionately affected by kidney disease, therefore needing a kidney transplant. And so one donor, organ donation is so critical to our community, and the number of lives can be saved. One donor can save up to 8 lives.
Donations happen once one is deceased, but let's talk about kidneys in particular, because we see all these dialysis centers that tend to show up more in our neighborhood than anything else over the last number of years. What is it about us and kidneys and dialysis? What are we doing, and why is this happening?
Why is it happening? And so when you think about in terms of organ donation, the need for transplantation, it is in terms of, is it our lifestyles? Is it just the things that affect us, like high blood pressure? It is the foods we eat, there's a myriad of things that get us to this place. But what we know, people of color are at the highest need for needing a kidney transplant, including our own families. We were at an event recently and we raised our hand. We say, everybody raise their hand if you know someone who's been impacted by kidney disease. You know, pretty much the whole room had their hand raised because we all have someone who's been impacted. So it's so many health factors and things that we have to do in order to change that number and turn it the other direction.
How do we do as a people with donations, with organ donations?
First, it's so important from our end. We do a lot of work around education and awareness, making sure that we understand, and I say we, I put myself in this space, understand why this is so important and what this process entails. There are a couple of ways. One is the education component. The education component is to make sure understand organ donation and when it occurs. Organ donation has to occur in a sterile environment. My own family have their myths about organ donation, where it happens, and that no one's going to take your organs from you. I've heard that from my own family. And so that's why we say that education is so important. The second piece is registration. Being a registered organ donor it only happens when that time comes. And so it's important that our family members know our wishes. So I am a registered organ donor. So it is important that if that time comes and I'm able to be an organ donor, that my family understands that that's my wish. And so they'll be prepared to make that decision. And so I've already registered that decision. Those are the couple of the key ways. And so we meet people at the worst time of their lives in terms of at that request for organ donation. But if you've already declared that and you stated that that's your wish and your family is aware, it just helps in that process. But then that third piece is critical, is because one donor can save up to 8 lives.
So
Plus, many more will be impacted by tissue donation and et cetera. But that alone, when you ask about kidney disease and what's happening in our community, can you imagine one donor has 2 kidneys? And the lives that can be saved, and not just the lives that are being saved from the transplant, but the lives that are being saved because now that donor has a legacy and has now lives on and helping someone else.
So critically important, particularly as science becomes better at making and managing all these things. How are the declarations made? I know I have an organ donation notice on my driver's license, but how is it made for everyone?
That is through the Secretary of State is one, and that is your making that declaration to your point when you get your driver's license or your state ID. We are out in many different places to be able to register people at events, et cetera. But of the other place, everyone can go online, giftofhope.org, and you can register online. And that goes into a national database.
I'm going to imagine that if you go to giftofhope.org, you can get a lot more information about organ donation.
You can, or you can go online. And also, if you want us to contact you because you have questions, that is another way. But there's a lot of good information out about what, making that decision, what your options are, as well as educating yourself.
Now, you are head of the foundation. This is a fundraising event that we're at today.
It is.
Talk about the support that you need and how you get it.
So we're swinging into giving at Seven Bridges this morning, which is for our Gift of Hope Community Foundation. The dollars that we raise support education around organ donation in the various communities throughout our service area, which is most of Illinois, as well as Northwest Indiana, as well as supporting some of the work of our donor families. And our donor families are those families who've made that ultimate sacrifice of a loved one as a donor. And the third arm is our research components. And research in terms of, you talked about science, Rufus, about the importance of science, is that things are so much better in terms of just what can happen and the number of lives that can be saved. And so supporting some research efforts to be able to continue to advance that.
So important. So good to see you. You've just been doing great work every place I've seen you. This is just another way, as you mentioned, to do even greater, to help a lot of people, to prolong their lives and live better. Giftofhope.org.
Giftofhope.org, and learn about the importance of organ donation. And again, if you have any questions, send us a contact and say, I got some questions. I want to talk a little bit more about this. We welcome that.
There you go. That's Audrina Spence, the Executive Director. Thank you so much for taking a few moments to spend with us this morning.
Absolutely.
Oh, and by the way, Melody's on the board of Gift of Hope, so it's important to her, which makes it important to us. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right. We'll be back, folks, right after Annette tells us what's in the news.
All right. Thank you. All right. Now,
a cloudy start to your morning and quite mild. Temperature starting out in the 50s. We're headed to a daytime high in the upper 70s. Good morning. I'm Annette Flurnoy, and here's what's happening. Yesterday, City Council members voted to add 3 questions to November's midterm ballot. 1, if Chicago should ask the federal government for compensation for expenses related to Operation Midway Blitz, if the city should replace ShotSpotter technology, and if the city should build one venue for music festivals to move them out of neighborhoods. Meanwhile, a city council majority is pushing back against Mayor Brandon Johnson on which advisory voters should see on upcoming ballots. The council approved several non-binding referendum favored by the mayor's opponents, signaling that he may be losing control of the majority of the city council.
So if the ideal of me being popular determines how well I govern, well, clearly it isn't. Because whether people like it or not, or those same interests who want to take this city back from us, like it or not, I'm going to make sure that we build the safest, most affordable big city in America. And until somebody come and get me, I'm here.
Also, the mayor's proposed referendum for a millionaire's tax, it won't be on the ballot because it was filed too late for consideration. Well, civil rights attorney Ben Crump was in Chicago yesterday to unveil the preliminary findings of his independent autopsy of 18-year-old Nolan Wells. Perry Williams has more.
Civil rights attorney Ben Crump told the crowd yesterday at the NAACP National Convention in Chicago that the cause of death is still undetermined and he's hoping for some answers.
Heard the sheriff say there's no foul play at the beginning of the investigation. That is cause for concern.
Wells was found dead in the water on July 6 just off Horn Island, Mississippi. The case has gained national attention with its racial component, given Wells, who is black, was traveling with a group of friends, all of whom are white. I'm Perry Williams.
And Governor Pritzker will be signing a law to designate Emmett Till Day here in Illinois. The signing will take place today at Roberts Temple Church of God in Christ. Emmett Till was 14 years old when he traveled to Money, Mississippi, here from Chicago. He was kidnapped, brutally murdered. Robert Temple was the site where his body was displayed in an open casket for his funeral, which launched the modern civil rights movement. The church is recognized as a national monument. That's a look at our news now. 1690 WVON. Traffic and weather up next. WVON News Time, 7:33.
Tuned in to your favorite WVON personalities on Facebook Live? Don't just watch, like it, love it, share it. Every click helps us grow the conversation and keep the community strong. So remember, like it, love it, share it, Chicago.
Honey, did you invite the minions over?
Well, you know how we talked about getting Wi-Fi from Xfinity?
Yeah.
I ordered it this morning, was online in minutes, then they showed up.
So they just came over to use the Wi-Fi?
They even brought their own devices and spell book.
You didn't give them the new Wi-Fi password, right?
No.
That's good.
I gave them our old one. Because Xfinity lets us keep the same network name and password so devices connect instantly.
What do they want Wi-Fi for anyways?
Better not to know. Plausible deniability.
Get streaming or scheming instantly with same-day Wi-Fi from Xfinity. Plus, lock in one price for the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi for 5 years. Guaranteed. And see Minions and Monsters only in theaters. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Use of fiber coaxial cable. Learn more at xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi.
It's Cleopatra.
I really enjoy coming on your show because when I come on your show, I always learn something about something I didn't know about before. You just teach. I'm a white woman. I'm a Southerner. I always am craving knowledge that I don't previously have. And I am so grateful to you for constantly educating me on things I don't know.
Middays at 9 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Early detection saves lives. Ladies, if you're due for a mammogram, don't wait. Breast cancer is most treatable when it's found early. U Chicago Medicine makes it easier to take charge of your health. Eligible patients can self-schedule their mammogram online or through MyChart in just minutes. Visit uchicagomedicine.org/mammo to schedule your screening. That's uchicagomedicine.org/mammo. U Chicago Medicine at the forefront.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
WVON traffic and weather now.
These travel times ramp up pretty fast. As you make your way along DuSable Lakeshore Drive, you're looking at a 15-minute trip now from 67th Street to Jackson. That's mainly due to some delays right around Roosevelt Road because the streets in and around Grant Park are now closed for the setup for Lollapalooza. The inbound side of the Ryan, a 20-minute trip from 95th Street into downtown. Getting there along the Bishop Ford, not too bad. On the outbound side of the Bishop Ford, though, you do want to look out for an accident. It is on the exit ramp at 130th Street. Apparently, that accident is involving a motorcyclist. The inbound side Tuskegee Airmen Memorial still in play. That earlier crash there at Halstead is off to the left shoulder, luckily, not affecting your travel times. Things are still pretty light for now. The Stevenson, now a 40-minute trip from I-355 to DuSable Drive, outbound just fine. Give yourself 55 minutes now along the Eisenhower from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, 50 on the return. And the Kennedy just bumped up to a 40-minute trip in from O'Hare to downtown, outbound much heavier now, 48 minutes to the airport. You do want to factor in an overturned vehicle is blocking the left shoulder there at Cumberland. Taking a look at our weather, we're seeing a few clouds this morning, quite mild, almost chilly. Temperature starting out actually in the 50s. The National Weather Service says we're headed to a daytime high of around 79 degrees tonight, down to 57. We're looking at 63 at O'Hare, is 63 in Inglewood, and 63 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. It is it's summertime in Chicago, and I wish you guys could be out here with me. This is why you play golf. It's just so beautiful, so serene, until we all get out here and start tearing up the course. But in the meantime, it's just a great way, a great place to be, a great day to be out here. So much is happening in our city as we come through, and I want to introduce you to someone to tell us more about a great way to see it. We see it in all different ways, but when you see Chicago from the water, it's an entirely different experience. Grace Fuller, who is the general manager of City Cruises Chicago, can tell us a little bit more about that. Grace, good morning. Welcome to WVON. Grace? Do we have Grace? Okay, sounds like either we don't have Grace or I just can't hear. So let's do this. Let me tell you about another city that you ought to see. It's the city of Charleston, South Carolina. We are going to Charleston on October the 8th through the 12th. Love to have you all join us. I know a lot of people have signed up. Have an early bird special. I'm not sure whether you missed that or not, but not special so much. But as the time gets further in, the cost gets more expensive. So the sooner you sign up, the better we all are in this process. Go to WVON.com. When you get there, you will see the Rufus Williams Travel Club. Click that. It takes you right to the site where you can register to join us out in Charleston, South Carolina, from the 8th through the 12th. This is going to be an amazing trip. We've had some folks on earlier this year to talk about what's happening in Charleston. We'll have more people on next week to give you a greater sense of what this trip is, what the trip is going to be, and how this whole thing is going to work. It's just going to be an absolutely phenomenal trip that you don't want to miss. I was going back through some of the pictures from a couple of the other trips that we've taken to South Africa and to West Africa, and just remembering the experiences that we had, the people that we met, the trips that were there. It's just a phenomenal experience. And we did this one domestically, very purposefully, just to give more people an opportunity to join us. And I hope that you all will take advantage of it and come out and be part of what we're doing right here. Today, we've got a few more things going on. Whether Grace can join us or not, we'll continue through our process. But just know I'm going to give away some tickets. And when I get to the point of giving away these tickets, you will want to be on with us, because the way I'm going to give them away, 5 sets of tickets to the first 5 callers when that moment comes. So make sure that you are with us and make sure that we can do that. Got a couple callers that want to get into our conversation this morning. Chris, good morning. Welcome to VON. What's on your mind this morning?
Brother Williams, good morning. Shout out to the WVON family, much love. Just wanted to call and give the Williams family some love. I know you said it was your father's birthday.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, shout out to that, bro. I lost my dad when I was 11.
Oh, wow.
But I had mom through thick and thin and grandpa through thick and thin and, other brothers, others that still didn't avoid a little bit, but just want to call, give you and the family some love, man.
I appreciate that. We've had in my family both recently. I lost my mom back in September and my sister in May. And so a lot of the things that we go through in this process have it's been difficult and different. But I think the memories and the friends and the calls like this really help us through. So I so appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, brother. Be good, be strong, and much love to the WVON family, man.
Thanks, appreciate you. Before I take my next caller, on that same point, I've spoken. He's been on our show commemorating the anniversary of his historic church down on 87th and Ashland. He also officiated at my mom's services. But Reverend William Foster, who I went to high school with. Many know around the city, many know from a number of different places. He's a pastor at Providence Church. He lost his mom yesterday. Mother Louise Foster transitioned, went on to heaven. So it's with a heavy heart that the Foster family shares the untimely news of the transition of Mother Louise Foster, born November 11th, 1938, and we lost her just on yesterday. So we're sending love, prayers, and condolences to the Foster family, and certainly to my good and dear friend, Reverend Bill Foster, on their loss. May she rest in peace in heaven. She left certainly a wonderful legacy with all of her children and their children and such. So it's hard in all these cases, particularly to lose your mom. And we know that this has been a process to get here. So wishing nothing but love and the best to Foster and his family. Cliff, good morning. Welcome to VON. What's on your mind this morning, my friend?
Hey, Grand Rising, Brother Rufus. Listen, my prayers out to all those who lost their loved ones as well, lost a mom. And that's a difficult thing, especially when you live with someone, for a long period of time, and then you lose them, father, mother, you know what I mean? And so it's difficult. But then, you hope and you should be thankful, that they did live a long life for the most part and a good life. So you got to be thankful in that regards, So, but if I can briefly, in Nolan Wells' case,
yes.
It's a situation where a man, a young man, needlessly lost his life, such as we do in our community, which certainly got to stop. You know what I mean? But good Black people that are trying to live righteous, not only we have to have a challenge in our own community, but then when we escape or try to escape and go to what we think might be a better environment, we got to deal with those challenges as well, just based on the color of our skin. You know what I mean? And so with that being said, you at least want the truth, particularly for those people that call themselves to be righteous or even a Christian. So hopefully we can get some answers and some truth at some point coming out of Mississippi. So obviously these people are Christians, and I guess they would call themselves, non-racist. But yet we can't get the truth, so I'm just saying this in terms of we need honesty in our community, and for this country, for this world to be better, we need people, man, to be honest and respect all people. And certainly we got to respect ourselves as well. So with that being said, I'm done, and so, thanks for taking my call, man. And, I hope things get better before they get worse.
Something about the statement you made, getting the truth out of Mississippi, just often sounds like an oxymoron when we talk about these cases. It'll eventually come out, but it's going to be hard. It's not clear, and it doesn't make any sense in this case. I hope we can get to something that just makes sense. And I think that's so much of what Nolan Xavier Wells' family is struggling with right now. Nothing makes any sense in what they've told them and what they know. Let's take a quick break. Lee, I see you on the line. I'll pick up your call and others when we come back right after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Shop small with Wintrust Bank and celebrate the heart of our community, our local businesses. Listen as we share a list of small businesses throughout our community that we can shop, dine, and support throughout the year. These businesses are the economic engine that drives our neighborhoods. Wintrust knows that. That's why they're Chicago's bank and why they're encouraging you to shop local. Keep listening for the Wintrust Community Business Spotlight campaign. With Wintrust, shopping small is a big deal.
It's Rufus Williams. The thrill of summer is finally here, which also means it'll be over before we know it. This fall, the Rufus Williams Travel Club is heading to Charleston, South Carolina, October 8th through the 12th. Join me as we experience the beauty, the brilliance, and the culture of one of America's most captivating cities. We'll enjoy the charm of the Lowcountry, breathtaking scenery, incredible cuisine, and the rich African-American history of Charleston. There will also be a few special surprises designed just for our group. So whether you're traveling alone, with family, or with friends, you'll be welcomed into an unforgettable experience filled with great people and great memories. Space is limited, and the best rates are right now. Simply go to WVON.com, click on the Rufus Williams Travel Club banner, and reserve your space. Advantage International is the official travel partner of the Rufus Williams Travel Club. Charleston, South Carolina, October 8th through the 12th. Travel with people, travel with purpose, travel with us.
CTA is coming to WVON, Sundays 7 p.m., not the train. Call to action with your host, Randria. When life has you at a stop, he'll pick you up and help you find out where you're going and the best connections to get you there. Take the ride every Sunday at 7 p.m. with your host, Randria. The next stop might be yours.
You never know who's going to stop by WVON.
Craig Hodges on the line with us. Craig, thank you for coming on to the show.
Thank God for giving me a chance to talk across the airwaves, brother.
Tim Hardaway on the live line with us.
Love from that time of Chicago.
Alonzo Mourning, legendary NBA ball player. Welcome to WVON.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for having me.
We are the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
WVON traffic and weather now.
You're now looking at 21 minutes along the Ryan from 95th Street into downtown. The Bishop 4 still not too bad, pretty close to the posted speed. The inbound side, Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, just about 16 minutes in from I-80. If you're on DuSable Lakeshore Drive, expect about a 15-minute trip from 67th Street to Jackson. Slow right there at Roosevelt Road due to that stoplight and the fact that the streets in and around Grant Park are now closed as crews are setting up for Lollapalooza next week. With the Monroe still in pretty good shape. If you're on the Stevenson, not too bad. A 40-minute trip in from I-355 to DuSable Drive 40 traveling out. The Eisenhower still moving along at 55 minutes from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, 50 on the return. The Kennedy right now, pretty heavy in both directions still. Just bumped up to almost 45 minutes in from O'Hare to downtown. Getting to the airport, a slow-moving 51-minute trip. You can factor in that overturned vehicle there at Cumberland. Although it's off to the shoulder, traffic right now pretty much stop and go all the way back to Montrose. Taking a look at our weather, a few clouds for starters and chilly almost. Temperature starting out in the 50s. The National Weather Service says we're headed to a daytime high of 79. Temperatures right now in the 60s. We're up to 64 at Midway, 64 in Woodlawn, and 64 degrees here at the top of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm in Effingham, Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Are you part of Gift of Hope?
Part of WGN, so we're sponsoring the whole kid movement. So
So you're on air with WGN?
And both hands
Great. So you're sponsoring the whole kit and caboodle. This is good. I'm with WVON. So since my show comes in,
on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
I didn't know who you were, but I knew I had to come in. It's real nice meeting you. Great meeting you as well. I kind of figured the cameras must have been WGN. So I knew you all did. Good stuff. Shine through the window, lets me know everything's all right. Hey folks, welcome back. Look, WVON listeners, here's your chance to step back in time and experience a piece of Chicago history. The Friends of Pullman National Historical Park are giving you a chance to win a pair of tickets to this weekend's Railroad Days at Pullman National Historical Park, located at 615 East 113th Street. This weekend only, Railroad Days gives you a rare opportunity to tour and experience the historic Pullman rail cars that were built right here on site by people who helped shape American rail travel. It's a one-of-a-kind Chicago experience that you won't want to miss. I'm going to give away a pair of tickets to 5 callers at some point before my show is over. Won't do it just yet, but it's coming up soon. Don't turn away. Lee, good morning. Welcome to VON. What's on your mind this morning, my friend?
Hey, good morning, Rufus. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course.
I just want to put out, man, that I've been thinking when I listen to you, I've been thinking, and I see just how much ground you have to cover. But I think what you do is important because with us as descendants of those of Africa, when I think about it, man, we have a lot of lanes that we need to deal with, and dealing with what Attorney Crump is doing over there in Mississippi, yeah, it's kind of amazing. And all you want is the truth. How does a healthy 18-year-old come up dead? And everybody come back but him. Now that's all you want is the truth. What happened? How did it happen, right? Let's all of you down in these states that run around Bible thumping, but silently or quietly being, children of Satan, can just stop it, right? Just stop it. And for once in your life, try to honor, just like Martin Luther King said, we just want you to honor what's written on paper. So if you're going to run around and talk about Christ and God, then why don't you just really for once in your life step up and just get a man what he's looking for? What happened to the young man? Second thing is, while you go down the lane that you do, Rufus, of enlightening people with all kinds of topics, I think I understand when certain callers call in and they will not let go of the fact that we have ignorance in our communities that we need to focus on. We need to constantly and not let that go. The same thing about education. We can't forget about the shootings, the killings, the ignorance that cause our communities to lose out on revenue, that causes us to lose property values. We cannot give up on that lane either. And I'm just happy that VON is here in this space to give everybody who calls in with these different perspectives rooms to express them, because that's what we are. We're multifaceted and we have a lot of things going on in our communities. And you and VON gives everybody this platform to vent them, because I've discovered that mine, besides being political, with the way I feel like these referendums that they're putting on the upcoming ballot are just garbage. And they're not the referendums of the people, they're referendums of the politicians. But that's counterproductive, because referendums should come from the people for the people. And so that's the political lens. And I won't stop about the violence that I keep seeing and how much it's causing us to lose children with bright futures and broken families, and this social fabric that is ripped apart and that we need to finally stitch back together. So I just wanted to put that out there, man. I don't know how you shoulder it. I really don't, man. But if you don't mind, I'll climb under that log with you and support it with you, because it's not easy. But you do it every day, and you do it in a way that just makes me say, man, this guy is going to be remembered whenever that day should come and we don't hear your voice anymore. You'll be remembered, man. So that's all I wanted to say, man. Keep up the good work, and thank you for allowing this stage for everybody to come on and perform their act or perform what they feel they believe in. All right, thanks a lot.
Stay here with me for a minute, Lee. Thank you for that. But I want to just talk about this one part because unfortunately we reached a time in our lives that things that are shocking for whatever reason aren't shocking us like they used to. There was a 14-year-old boy killed on the back porch in Garfield Park yesterday. And I've gone through an hour and haven't said one thing about it. These are things that years ago, we were watching our children get killed. I mean, every time it would leave the news, we talk about it, but now I don't know whether we become numb to the situation, but it's got to be a point. And as I've moved around, where I'm sitting now, where I was last week, where I've been in these different places, these things don't happen. I come home and I live in Lincoln Park, and now there's a shooting in 3 o'clock in the morning in Lincoln Park, and there are no charges that are going to be brought, although they have it on video, the guy shooting. I mean, what do you think is going on within our society that allows these things to continue to happen?
I believe, like I've always said, this is social. And I believe that from a lens of, like you said, in other places, this would not stand. People would say, we are better than this is not us. But with those of African descent, somehow along the way, Rufus, we got caught up in the whole no snitching. We got caught up in the whole, this is, this retributive justice that we must dole out. When in actuality, man, we have got to come to see ourselves in a better light. And I think it was Malcolm X that put that out, right? The day you stop seeing yourself in a positive light, no one will. And so we have got to get back to the point where if something happens, you go and you run like the comedian Bernie Mac once said, standing up, jumping up and down with your hand in the air to tell the judge who did it. We have got to start saying to ourselves, I do no favors harboring evil people. I do no favors. I do no favors to the community. I do no favors to my family. I do no favors to my neighbors when I harbor evil people. And when someone shoots, Rufus, shoots and indiscriminately kills a woman waiting on the bus. She's waiting on the bus, Rufus, for God's sake. If you have any inkling of who did it, you report it. You speak on it. You tell someone, and you get that person locked up. And if you don't, you will continue to support this evil. And so and this is anybody who go to church, anybody who knows the truth, you cannot be double-faced. In our communities, I remember when Yummy Sandifer got killed, Rufus. Yeah. That was outrageous. I remember when they dropped the little boy from the window in the project. This evil in our communities has been here for so long, and we have said that we don't want to be like white people and run and talk. We want to be gangsters. We want to be like the mob and don't say nothing. That is ignorance squared. So I strongly believe, Rufus, the only people that can get us out of this is us. That's the only one going to do it. We have got to stop harboring it, accepting it, and thinking that it is the way of life we should continue to live. So that's what I think, brother.
Yeah, let us take care of us. Thank you, Lee. Appreciate you.
All right, man, have a great one.
You too. Let's do this. Let's find out from that what's in the headlines, what's in Black Information News. When we come back, we got an interesting bound and woven that we'll play for you right after this.
A cool start, returning sunny and 79 on this Thursday, July 23rd, 2026. I'm in Illinois, and in the headlines, City Council members voted to add 3 new questions to November's midterm ballot. Mayor Johnson's proposed referendum for a millionaire's tax won't make it on the ballot because it was filed too late for consideration. And Chicago's annual Gospel Fest returns to Millennium Park this weekend, and WVON's very own gospel sister, Pam Morse-Walton, is being honored by Mayor Brandon Johnson. At 10:30 this morning, she will be live in studio on the Midday Show to talk about her personal journey. National news from the Black Information Network is next on Chicago's only urban talk radio station, 1690 AM, WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's 8:01.
Here's Beyond News now. New Jersey is removing thousands of voter registrations after officials discovered a Motor Vehicle Commission software error mistakenly registered some non-citizens to vote. Governor Mikey Sherrill.
We will remove anyone from the voter rolls who may have improperly registered.
State officials say the issue affected about 6,000 people. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is considering ending a long-standing requirement that larger employers report workforce demographics by race, ethnicity, and sex. Critics argue the data remains important to identify workplace discrimination. And the U.S. Department of Education is investigating 5 medical schools over allegations that race was improperly considered in admissions decisions. 2 of the schools, Dartmouth College and East Carolina University, say they are still confident in their admissions practices. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app. Here's more with Terry McCready.
One of the hardest things to do. For me, it's one of the hardest things to do as a president, but has to be done.
President Trump attending a dignified transfer yesterday at Dover Air Force Base for 4 U.S. soldiers. 19-year-old Isabella Gonzalez, 25-year-old Tyler Feehan, and 28-year-old Angel Rompersant were killed when an Iranian missile struck their sleeping barracks in Jordan on Friday. 30-year-old black U.S. service member Michael Emmanuel Swinton died on Sunday while attempting to disarm a downed Iranian drone in Iraq. Meanwhile, Trump is issuing a new warning to Iran. In a post on Truth Social yesterday, he wrote that if Iran shoots a ship in the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. will respond by bombing a bridge or power plant. The president went on to say that those next to or in the capital city of Tehran could be targeted. His comments come as the U.S. has launched strikes on Iran for a dozen nights. The latest strikes targeted military operation centers, aircraft hangars, and drone storage facilities. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani continuing to criticize Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and call for his arrest when he visits New York in September.
There is, in fact, a rule of law across the world where there are crimes that are so grave that they offend all of humanity. And I believe that we should hold those who perpetrate them accountable.
A day after releasing a video listing allegations of war crimes against Netanyahu, Mamdani was peppered with questions about it. He says Netanyahu orchestrated a genocide and is a war criminal. He's calling on the federal government to arrest him on an international criminal court warrant. Mamdani has acknowledged that he cannot have New York authorities arrest Netanyahu, which was a campaign promise. Dozens of states are going to be forced to put up more money to fund the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program or end up cutting food assistance if they don't get their error rates under control. With passage of the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill last year, the Trump administration warned states to address error rates or lose partial federal funding for SNAP. The target is an error rate under 6%. It refers to the percentage of SNAP benefits paid either above or below what people should have received, primarily because of mistakes. It includes both over and underpayments. Blacks represent about 26% of SNAP recipients. The Secret Service is ramping up security for the rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner following an assassination attempt at the original event in April. Secret Service Director Sean Curran acknowledged his team is at a heightened level of a threat environment based on things happening around the globe. Friday's dinner will be held at the Waldorf Astoria instead of the Washington Hilton. There will be a shorter guest list and enhanced security. This all comes after 31-year-old black suspect Cole Allen of California was accused of sprinting through security with guns and knives in an attempt to assassinate President Trump and other White House officials at the previous dinner. I'm Terry McCready for the Black Information Network.
This report is brought to you by Blindster.com. Tired of overpriced blinds? Blindster makes custom blinds simple and affordable. You measure at home, install yourself, and save big. No retail store markups, just custom blinds guaranteed to fit. Blindster.com.
It's Gospel with Pam Morris Walton, your gospel sister, on WVON Sundays, 11 to 2 p.m. Music to help you on your journey. I'll see you there, WVON.
Dreaming of owning a home? Fifth Third Bank is here to help get you there. Our down payment assistance programs open doors for families across Chicago. Whether you're buying your first home or planning for the future, we'll guide you every step of the way. Because of Fifth Third, we believe homeownership builds stronger communities. This is banking a Fifth Third better. Visit 53.com to learn more. That's 53.com. Fifth Third Bank, National Association. Member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Tavis Smiley, inviting you to join me weekdays from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. right here on WVON. I am bringing you a national perspective on all the happenings in the Black community and, of course, politics. It's talk radio for us, by us, and this is where America listens.
It's Tavis Smiley, weekdays from 6 to 9 p.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Hi, I'm attorney Ernesto Borges. I'd like to invite you to join me for the Borges Report for lively discussions about legal matters, politics, government, entertainment, and the topics that concern you in your life. Start your Sunday the Borges way with the Borges Report.
The Borges Report with Ernesto Borges, Sunday mornings at 9 on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
You never know who's going to stop by WVON.
I am honored to have join me in the studio. It's none other than the governor of the great state of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker. Welcome to WVON.
Thanks, Rufus. Great to be here.
Leader Jeffries, good morning and welcome back to WVON. Good to talk to you, good brother.
Good morning, Rufus. Great to be on with you.
Senator Tammy Duckworth, how are you?
It's great. It's great to be back. Thanks for having me on.
We are the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This report is brought to you by RockAuto.com. A bent tie rod can quickly bring a drive to a halt. For parts needed to get back on the road, visit RockAuto.com. Find a wide selection of quality parts at reliably low prices, delivered right at your door. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Travel times are bumped up to 25 minutes on the Ryan from 95th Street into downtown. Making your way along the Bishop Ford, you will slow down just a bit right around 111th Street, then stop and go to the Ryan. Tuskegee Airmen Memorial still free flowing in. USAMBO Lakeshore Drive, 67th Street to Jackson, no major changes, 15 minutes. Still some stop and go traffic from Soldier Field to Monroe. Couple reasons, the stoplight delays, as well as street closures in and around Grant Park as crews are setting up for Lollapalooza next weekend. As you make your way from Hollywood to Monroe, we're now seeing some stop and go traffic from North Avenue to Michigan, but still not too bad. A 40-minute trip still along the Stevenson, and from I-355 to DuSable Drive outbound, 40-minute as well. Bumped up to almost an hour on the Eisenhower from Thorndale to the Burns Circle. That outbound trip, just about 50 minutes. And the Kennedy still moving along at a 45-minute pace from O'Hare to downtown. Outbound, extremely heavy. You're almost looking at an hour. You want to factor in that earlier overturned vehicle, although it is off to the left shoulder at Cumberland, is causing major, major delays. Taking a look at our weather, really mild this morning. We're getting a big break from the heat. The National Weather Service says we're looking at a daytime high of 79. Temperatures tonight expected to dip down into the 50s. Sounds like fall temperatures. 57 are low. But right now, we're still steady in the mid-60s, 65 in Midway, 65 in Woodlawn, and 65 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Live from the Xfinity Studios, it's the station that America listens to. WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's Rufus Williams on Chicago's essential storyteller, WVON.
You wonder how I do it. It's just one simple rule. I'm just cool. Honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Hey. R-U-F-U-S. What's that spell? R-U-F-U-S. I'm just cool. Honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. Ain't nobody bad like me. Sing it, baby. R-U-F-U-S. What's that stand? R-U-F-U-S. That spell cool. The audio
audio genius. The audio genius. The audio genius.
Welcome to Bound and Woven. I'm Rufus Williams. Some questions are designed to provoke. Others are designed to expose. And then there are the questions that force America to look directly into the mirror. Tonight's question is one of them. Are white men smarter? Why white men keep getting ahead, and what we can do about it? Now, let's be honest from the outset. For Black Americans whose labor helped build this country, whose brilliance helped transform every sector of American life, and whose contributions have too often been exploited while our humanity was denied, the premise on its face sounds ridiculous, because this has never really been a question of intelligence. It's been a question of access, of power, of who gets opportunity without proving themselves and who must prove themselves repeatedly just to be considered. Black America knows this script: be smarter, be sharper, be better prepared, be twice as good, have twice the credentials, speak twice as carefully, and then even walk into rooms where competence is presumed for others and questioned in you. So tonight's conversation is not about validating a foolish premise. It's about interrogating the mythology underneath it. Because if white male dominance in politics, business, media, education, and wealth is not evidence of superior intelligence, and history strongly suggests it is not, then we must ask the harder question: how was this hierarchy built? And perhaps even more importantly, who benefits from keeping the myth alive? My guest is Steve Phillips, political strategist, democracy advocate, and author of the provocative new book, Are White Men Smarter? Why White Men Keep Getting Ahead, and What Can We Do About It? Steve Phillips, welcome to Bound and Woven.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
No, it's good to have you here. Really, we have to get to what this book is really asking. So let's begin with the obvious. For many Black readers, the very premise of Are White Men Smarter? Why might white men keep getting ahead, and what can we do about it? Feels absurd. So what false assumption are you deliberately exposing with this title?
So what I'm trying to get at is to rethink some of our strategies and approaches and analyses around how we tackle this whole issue of equality. And so I really began this inquiry and began this book asking the question, what happened to the commitments around racial justice after George Floyd was killed? All these organizations, institutions, everyone claimed they were against systemic racism. They wanted to do something about it. That lots of, proposals were put forward, money committed, entities established. And then people started to walk that back, and the commitment began to waver, and then the enthusiasm diminished. So originally, I was just trying to remind us, we all said we believed in equality, and yet these initiatives that we're doing, that we were putting forward, are now lacking support. And the original title of the book was going to be Does All Mean All? And looking both at the Declaration of Independence and Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, we say all are created equal. Then you had 2024 election, this administration coming in 2025, and just taking a wrecking ball to all of the remedies and programs designed to address inequality. And yet nobody's saying anything about the underlying ongoing inequality that we said we cared about just 5-6 years ago. And so if we have this situation of widespread inequality, where white men do occupy the vast majority of the positions of power and privilege and influence and wealth in our society, and we're not going to do anything about it because we're going to attack all of the programs like DEI and affirmative action, are we okay with the situation? And do we think that it exists because of benign factors? And do we think that it exists simply because white men are smarter? That's why they have all the positions. And so I'm trying to provoke a conversation. I talk in the intro about saying the quiet part out loud. And that is a part that very few people, even this current president of the United States, is unwilling to say publicly that, yes, white men are smarter. And so I also feel that that creates a strategic opportunity for us to go back on the offensive on pushing for racial justice. And so rather than have to defend programs like DEI and affirmative action, et cetera, and any of the unintended, minor consequences from them, we can just turn the question back to, we have this widespread inequality. Why do we think it exists? And what are we doing about it? And I think that can help us in this moment of grappling for racial justice and equality.
Yeah, because in that, what you're saying is, they're really not smarter. But the other part of the question is why America has spent centuries rewarding whiteness and maleness as though they are evidence of superiority. And that's the real question. Why is that the case?
Right, exactly. And so, yes, just so that there's no unclarity, they're not smarter, right? And so that's the point.
Let's just be clear.
Of asking the question and forcing people to confront it more directly. And so, as I was saying, is also then trying to be able to help us go on the offensive. And it gets to the question about why does it exist, right? So it's also why I feel like this is a point of strategic inflection for the movement, for the progressive movement, for the pro-equality movement, because historically we have been very focused and largely almost exclusively focused on the underrepresentation of people of color and women. And that leads to a very natural, understandable, but actually not that helpful deficit analysis. What are they lacking? Why? They don't have enough education. They don't have their families aren't together enough. Even when Mary Summers was president of Harvard, he said that women may not have the drive to be able to be functioning in competitive high-level positions and whatnot. So what are they lacking has been how we have thought about it. And then what do we need to do to fill up those deficits? It's a very different conversation to flip that script, because the other part of underrepresentation is overrepresentation. And so then if you start looking at why are white men overrepresented? White men are 29% of this country, and yet they are 85% of the corporate CEOs, 90% of the people who actually get venture capital funding. 98% of all of the money in the country managed by money managers is managed by white men, and they don't outperform the non-white male managers. And so why is that? And that's what I'm trying to move forward. In that context, we're trying to lift up this concept to think about the active nature of preference. And so we're naming it, and we're calling it straight white American male preference. The acronym for that is SWAMP. And so we are calling this out to have people grapple with and confront the reality that there is ongoing contemporary, active, energetic preference being shown to white men. And that's a very different proposition than what's wrong with the people of color and women, and how can we get them to be better?
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Girl, where have you been? My laundry got backed up. I had so much laundry I felt like the help, but I found the truth.
You became a Jehovah's Witness?
I found Clean Break. For less than the price of a good meal, Clean Break washed and folded my clothes and had them smelling fresh the way I like.
It's gotta be inexpensive. You know all the hookups.
Darn Skippy. I wasn't about to pay no $100 for 2 bags of clothes, and I caught the WVON discount.
Girl, sign me up. I'm sold.
Try Clean Break today for just $25 per bag, including pickup and delivery. Call 708-980-7886 or visit cleanbreak.com. That's KLEANBREAK.com. Clean Break, fresh clothes, more free time. Get your weekends back.
So fresh and so clean, Break.
Some things can steal your sunshine.
Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is your host and life coach, Linnell Harris, and I want you to join me every Sunday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. for Inspirational Perspective. On Inspirational Perspective, we talk life vision, life purpose, and the show is all about helping you live the best life possible. So join me as we look at supporting you in living the life you intend to live and making your life's vision a reality. Every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 a.m. WVON.
This report is sponsored by RockAuto.com. A failed strut can turn any drive into a rough ride. When it's time for repairs, Rock Auto makes finding the right part easy. Shop name brands at lower prices and have parts shipped directly to your door. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Just bumped up to 17 minutes from 67th Street to Jackson. The slowest spot between Soldier Field and Monroe. That's mainly due to stoplight delays, along with the fact that streets in and around Grant Park are now closed as crews are setting up for Lollapalooza. As you make your way from Hollywood to Monroe, also a 17-minute trip. The Ryan, 25 minutes in from 95th Street into downtown. Getting to the Ryan along the Bishop Ford, looks like you'll hit the brakes right there at the Stony Island Feeder, then stop and go in. A Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, heavy right around 103rd Street in. Turning to the Stevenson, still 40 minutes from I-355 to DuSable Drive, 40 traveling out. The inbound side of the Eisenhower still an hour from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, 50 on the return trip. And the Kennedy, heavy now, a 50-minute trip from O'Hare to downtown. Getting to the airport, a slow-moving hour 7. That's mainly due to that earlier rollover accident, which is off to the left shoulder at Cumberland, causing major delays this morning. Taking a look at our weather. Gorgeous day in Chicago. Temperatures going up to 79, going down to 57 tonight. Currently 68 at Midway, 68 in Rosemore, and 68 degrees here. The Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm in Illinois on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. You know, Titus, each time you play these songs, I think that we should do this game. Can you name that tune and how many beats? Because usually I can get it on the first or second. Look, we're talking with Steve Phillips. His book is titled Are White Men Smarter? It's on Bound and Woven, up and available for you to see the entirety of the interview today. And as we do with all of our Bound and Woven episodes, the book is available wherever you get your books. I encourage you to pick it up, check it out, because it's pretty profound in what he gets to. And we only touch on some of it here, but let's get back to that interview.
Indeed, and all the statistics you just pointed out, what we're really looking at is white dominance. And white dominance has often been presented as proof of merit. But isn't dominance often simply proof of control? Isn't that what we're looking at?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's you know, I keep trying to think of like what are good metaphors to be able to explain it to people. And so what they say that it's the victor who writes the history books, right? And so in terms of who actually, so they're saying, yes, we have these positions and therefore we must have them by merit, by hard work, etc. But that's also what I'm trying to lift up in the book, is to show and to feature the work and the evidence, and there's abundant evidence that illuminates that just because people by force have taken these positions of power does not mean that they are smarter or more qualified. And there's a lot of evidence from social scientists, psychologists, academics that document and prove this swamp phenomenon, the straight white American male preference. So Jennifer Eberhardt, Stanford psychology professor, a MacArthur genius, recipient several years ago, she written a book, Bias, where she breaks down how we categorize information, and the brain has to categorize information because there's so many things that we're processing, and people wind up categorizing also by race and by gender. And so that factors into this whole piece. And it was most powerfully illustrated actually by a University of Chicago study about 20 years ago. Are Emily and Greg more employable than Jamal and Lakeisha? And so these researchers took 1,000 resumes, the exact same resumes in terms of education and experience, and they put different names on them. And then some of them had whiter sounding names like Greg and Emily, and some of them have blacker sounding names like Lakeisha and Jamal. The white sounding names got 50% more callbacks for interviews than the black sounding names. And so there's no other exclamation because the actual resume was the exact same. And so in terms of proving the prevalence of swamp, of straight white American male preference, that's a very powerful and I think kind of irrefutable set of evidence.
Indeed. Now, we've always known these are the rules of the game, right? We have to work harder. We have to be better. We have to over-prepare. We have to outperform. And we do all that. And there's still doubt that's attached to the accomplishments that we have. So your book itself is really about exposing the lies in that lived reality.
Yes, it's forcing people to confront the question. And so I'm calling for swamp audits and swamp indexes. And so that white men are 29% of the population. And so you use that as a baseline and as a lens to look at an organization, a college, who's getting city contracts, who's getting elected to office in different places. And are white men more than 29% of the recipients of those positions, or the occupants of those positions? In particular, are they more than that significantly? And in which many cases they are, and in most cases they are. And so then force a conversation about it. And so, because yes, there's so much unspoken, implicit, beneath the radar, it's like, well, we like this person, we'll gravitate towards that person, etc., but without confronting it directly. And so that's what I think a swamp audit can do, is it can force, and then a subsequent hearing, get the data, look at the data, and then just have a conversation. We're not actually pointing fingers and trying to, accuse anybody of anything. We're inviting people to a constructive dialogue. Why do you think this overrepresentation exists? And then if we think that it does exist, what are we doing about it? And that's a different approach. And I think that's an approach that will both be more constructive and frankly more effective in this moment where we're this administration and those in Washington are so hostile to and aggressive in attacking all the remedies to inequality. So let's step back and let's say, okay, let's not even have that discussion. And the truth of the matter is that a lot of us who are strong advocates for racial justice were never big fans of DEI in the first place. We thought it didn't go far enough and that it was too incremental and tinkering around the edges. And so let's set that discussion aside. Let's get back to the core inequality. Can you see it with your eyes that it exists? Do you care about it? And then what are we going to do about it? If you have a better idea, they come up with something better. Frankly, we should be coming up with something better than what DEI was.
Indeed. Check out the entirety of this interview on Bound and Woven. Go to Amazon Fire, WVON.com, VON.TV, Roku, but it's all there. And get this book, Steve Phillips, Are White Men Smarter Than Everybody? Let's take a quick break, find out what's going on in the news. When we come back, who knows, I may give away some tickets, but importantly, we'll be talking with Perri Irmer of the DuSable Museum. We'll be back right after this.
Set to be a gorgeous day in Chicago. Lots of sunshine. Temperatures climbing near 79. Good morning. I'm Ina Fernoli, and here's what's happening. Haitian Temporary Protected Status, TPS, holders in the U.S. have been granted a brief extension until Monday. This comes after a federal appeals court blocked the Trump administration from ending the program this week. Meanwhile, Chicago's Haitian community is still worried about their future. Harry Williams has more.
This resident, who has lived in Chicago since 2007, is concerned that there won't be a second extension and she could lose her work permit.
I will not be able to pay my mortgage. I will not be able to pay my car. I will not be able to feed my kids.
TPS gives migrants whose home countries are affected by natural disasters and wars the chance to live and work in the U.S. A bill in Congress, if passed, would extend TPS through 2029. I'm Perri Williams.
It was a busy day at City Hall yesterday. City Council members voted to add 3 questions to November's midterm ballot. One being if Chicago should ask the federal government for compensation for expenses related to Operation Midway Bliss. If the city should replace shot spotter technology, and if the city should build one venue for music festivals to move them out of neighborhoods. While a city council majority is pushing back against Mayor Johnson on which advisory voters will be seeing on upcoming ballots. Now, the council approved several non-binding referendums favored by the mayor's opponents, signaling that he may be losing control of the majority of the city council.
So if the ideal of me being popular determines how well I govern, well, clearly it isn't. Because whether people like it or not, or those same interests who want to take this city back from us, like it or not, I'm going to make sure that we build the safest, most affordable big city in America. And until somebody come and get me, I'm here.
Also, Mayor Johnson's proposed referendum for a millionaire tax will not be on the ballot because it was filed too late for consideration. And later today, Governor Pritzker will sign a new law to designate Emmett Till Day in Illinois. The signing will take place today at Roberts Temple Church of God in Christ. Roberts Temple was the site where Emmett Till's body was on display in an open casket for his funeral, which launched the modern civil rights movement. The church is recognized as a national monument. That's a look at our news now on 1690 WVON. Traffic and weather up next. WVON News Time, E34.
Some people wait for the future, others build it. WVON proudly presents the 2026 40 Game Changers Under 40. This year, it's a compass celebrating the navigators of next. Do you know an entrepreneur, community change agent, rising executive, educator, innovator, or a creator who is 40 or under and doing great work to help shape the future of Chicago? Or is that someone you? Now through July 17th, we're taking nominations. Visit 40gamechangers.com to submit your nominee. And then keep listening for updates on this year's exciting celebration. In 2026, our compass is on the navigators of next, because Chicago's future belongs to the people bold enough to lead it. Sponsored by BMO.
Shop small with Wintrust Bank and celebrate the heart of our community, our local businesses. Listen as we share a list of small businesses throughout our community that we can shop, dine, and support throughout the year. These businesses are the economic engine that drives our neighborhoods. Wintrust knows that. That's why they're Chicago's bank and why they're encouraging you to shop local. Keep listening for the Wintrust Community Business Spotlight campaign. With Wintrust, shopping small is a big deal.
It's the afternoon show.
Those people that are saying, I am not my ancestors, are speaking from a place of privilege only given to them by their ancestors. So how can you come here now, right, when they've shed all the blood, when they've been bitten by all the dogs, when they've been hosed down by all the hoses, when they've been slapped in the face by all the cops, and here you come after laws have been passed to say what you wouldn't allow. I am not my ancestors. I think that is insanely disrespectful.
Weekdays at 3 on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. It's time to focus with Robert McKay. Quality conversation, protecting, preserving, and preparing our past, present, and future. Sunday evenings at 4 p.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This report is brought to you by RockAuto.com. A bent tie rod can quickly bring a drive to a halt. For parts needed to get back on the road, visit RockAuto.com. Find a wide selection of quality parts at reliably low prices, delivered right at your door. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Shaping up to be one of those mornings you wish you left a little earlier, but take it easy out there. We're looking at 25 minutes along the Ryan from 95th Street into downtown. Getting to the Ryan along the Bishop Ford, you'll hit the brakes right there at the Stony Island Theater, then stop and go to the Ryan. Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, heavy from 103rd Street in. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, 17 minutes from 67th Street to Jackson. You're looking at street closures in and around Grant Park, causing big delays right at those stoplights at Roosevelt Road and Monroe. If you're traveling from Hollywood to Monroe, expect 18 minutes. Stevenson, heavy in both directions. 45 minutes in from I-355 to DuSable Drive. Outbound, a 55-minute trip. You want to factor in an accident is blocking the two right lanes there at Pulaski. If you're on the Eisenhower, you're looking at an hour still from Thorndale to the Burns Circle. 55 now traveling out. And the Kennedy in from O'Hare to downtown, a slow-moving 53-minute trip. Outbound. Little traffic. It turns out it's blocking 3 lanes. That's why travel times are so high. Taking a look at our weather, shaping up to be a gorgeous day in Chicago. Temperatures turning near 80. The sunshine tonight 57. We're up to 68 right now at Midway. It's 68 in Harvey and it's 68 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm in Illinois on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Now back to the morning show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. Hey, WVON listeners. Here's a chance to step back in time and experience a piece of Chicago history. The Friends of Pullman National Historical Park are giving you a chance to win a pair of tickets to this weekend's Railroad Days at Pullman National Historical Park. It's located at 614 East 113th Street. This weekend only, Railroad Days gives you a rare opportunity to tour and experience the historic Pullman rail cars that were built right here on site by people who helped shape American rail travel. It's a one-of-a-kind Chicago experience you won't want to miss. So call WVON right now. The next 5 callers will each win a pair of tickets to this weekend's Railroad Days at Pullman National Historic Park. That's right. The next 5 calls to 773-591-1690 win. And while you're doing that, let me bring on my next guest. It is none other than the CEO of The Do. It's Perri Irmer. Perri, welcome back to WVON.
Thank you so much, Rufus. It's been a minute since I've been on with you.
What's up with that?
More often.
I know. Every time we do it, we say we will and we don't.
Okay, well, I tell you what, we're gonna fix that problem real quick and in a hurry. Fast, quick, and in a hurry.
All right.
It's wonderful to be on with you and to be able to speak to the WVON family. I am really excited to be on to tell you guys about this play, and I want to give away some tickets too, so you'll have to tell me how to do that.
All right. Well, we'll work that out. And Titus will jump on in the break and work that out. But let's talk about the play. This thing is happening this weekend down at the Do. Tell us about Annie and Emmett.
Yes, Anne and Emmett. Some folks might remember that back in 2015, when I first started as president, of the DuSable, we presented this play. It is written by Janet Langhart-Cohen, who spent a lot of time in Chicago. She worked with Dr. King. She was on CBS as a newscaster, and just a wonderful, brilliant, talented woman. She and her husband, Secretary Bill Cohen, have a nonprofit that funds this play, and it is an amazing story. And very relevant, especially in the times that we're living in, when history and understanding history and learning history is so important when others are trying to erase it. So this is a story about Anne Frank and Emmett Till. If you have learned about Anne Frank, she was a young girl the same age as Emmett was, and she was hiding with her family in an attic in a private home in Amsterdam during the Nazi occupation, and hiding from the Nazis who would ultimately take her and her family to concentration camp. And Emmett, of course, same age, 15, went to visit from Chicago, went to visit his family in Money, Mississippi, was accused of whistling at a white woman, which is, heavily disputed whether that actually happened, and was kidnapped from his uncle's home, beaten, lynched, had a cotton gin fan tied around his neck. He was shot, and he was thrown in the Tallahatchie River. And this play is about the two of these children, really, meeting in a place called Memory and talking about their experiences, but their family, the love for their families, the incredibly evil hands by which they died, both as a result of racial and religious hatred and bigotry and racism and as I said, evil. And the play and the victims implore us not to forget them and not to repeat the evil that befell them. And unfortunately, we're not doing so well at that, right? We may learn about their experiences in school, but here we are in 2026, still looking at practices and actions by our own government to repeat the sins of the past. Many people say that this current administration is following a Nazi playbook, and that's certainly not improving and learning from history. We saw civil rights attorney Ben Crump yesterday talking about the autopsy of the young man who died and was trying to say it was an accident without scientific evidence for that. Not to mention all of the others that have been murdered at the hands of ICE, at the hands of police. Those are modern day lynchings. So here we are needing to relearn this lesson, and we can do it by attending and really being affected by this wonderful play written by Janet Cohen. So I really would love for everyone to come out. We've got an evening performance this Friday at 7 p.m. We have a morning performance on Friday that is catering to seniors and students, and those tickets are only $5, and that's a 10 a.m. performance on Friday. Then on Saturday, we have an evening performance. We're starting that at 6 p.m. Because there's a reception that follows. And that's $30. Friday evening's performance is $20. And then we have a Sunday performance as well for $20. So folks get to not only come to the DuSable for this play, but if you come to the afternoon performances, you'll get a chance to also visit the museum and all the beautiful exhibits that we have on offer, including Paris in Black.
Look, go see this play. Janet Langhart, actually, we got to know back in the 60s, if you recall, as a model for Ebony Fashion Fair, who's done a lot in pulling this story together. This is one of these things where you get a memory that you can't have otherwise, a dialogue that exists that kind of connects so many dots, and there's so many ways in which we need to understand what's happening. It makes me think of the play that was a conversation between Dr. King and Malcolm X. That so much that comes out of that we may be thinking, but when the two of them sit down and talk, it's a different conversation, just as it is with Anne and Emmett. So make sure you go and check this out. Perri, let's figure it out for tomorrow. We'll give away some tickets to this as well. And you have to tell me.
That would be wonderful.
Indeed, you have to tell me which one I'm coming to. But it's a phenomenal discussion.
Whichever one you can make, Rufus. I'd love to see you Saturday evening. Then you'll be able also to meet the playwright and her husband, and we'll have a glass of wine and some nibbles, and we can talk about this amazing play. I do want to give a shout out to Griffin Museum of Science and Industry, who have been our marketing partners in this, and MSI actually has an exhibit right now on Anne Frank. And a full-scale reproduction of the attic that she and her family hid in for over 2 years. Can you imagine hiding in the dark, trying to stay silent for 2 years with 2 children in tow? So very, very moving experience, and I encourage folks to check out that exhibit at the Museum of Science and Industry. Also, my good friend Naomi Davis from Blacks in Green, who was successful in getting the Emmett Till and Mamie Till Mosby House designated as a landmark. It is not open to the public yet, but you can certainly tour by there. And I know our very own Dilla cruises by there in his history bus with Mahogany Tours as well. So much history in Chicago. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, the Jet magazine and the Ebony magazine were always on my grandmother's coffee table. And she kept the Jet magazine with those images of Emmett in his coffin when thousands and thousands of people lined up outside the church to view his body. And that was really the spark that lit the first civil rights movement. We're in our second one now.
Yeah, on so many things. Look, Perri, I need to take a quick break, but I want you to think about this because I've been posing this question as I can. And we think about the Holocaust, we think about the Jews, we think about them saying, never again, never again. And the question that I've been asking is, for Black people, what is our never again? Think about that. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back more with Perri Irmer right after this.
Ada S. McKinley has a fantastic early learning and childcare program for kids from birth to age 5. Give your child a strong start. Quality childcare at 13 locations. Free and affordable options. Full days that are convenient for parents. Home-based services for expectant moms and their kids. And they welcome children with disabilities. Limited space available. Enroll now. Call 773-780-0050 or visit adasmckinley.org.
Tuned in to your favorite WVON personalities on Facebook Live? Don't just watch, like it, love it, share it. Every click helps us grow the conversation and keep the community strong. So remember, like it, love it, share it, Chicago.
Some things can steal your sunshine.
Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey everybody, this is Kendall Moore, the Kendall Moore Show, getting you from your work week to your weekend each and every Friday night from 6 until 9 p.m. I get you from your work week to your weekend. Church. Tabernacle.
Kendall Moore, radio for the next generation on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM, WVON.
This report is sponsored by RockAuto.com. Grinding and squealing are signs it's time for new brake. Skip the hassle of searching for the right parts and shop RockAuto.com. Find trusted name brand parts at lower prices and have them shipped directly to your door. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Sabo Lakeshore Drive northbound from 67th Street to Jackson, now almost a 20-minute trip. As you make your way from Hollywood to Monroe, just about 17 minutes still. Travel times bumped up along the inbound side of the Ryan. You're now looking at 26 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. Getting there along the Bishop Ford, still slow, right around the Stony Island Theater. If you're on Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, heavy from 103rd Street in. The Stevenson, no major changes. A 45-minute trip still in from I-355 to Sabo. Slow moving 50. Right lanes there. Still an hour on the inbound Eisenhower from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, 55 on the return trip. The Kennedy, 50 minutes now in from O'Hare to downtown. Getting to the airport now, 41 minutes. Taking a look at our weather, shaping up to be a gorgeous day in Chicago. Bright, beautiful skies, lots of sunshine. Temperatures climbing near 80. We're up to 69 at O'Hare, 69 at the 35th Street Beach, and 69 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at the weather now. I'm in Illinois on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. Look, because I like you all, we got a couple action items to do. We got a couple action items to do. First of all, the next two callers to 773-591-1690 get tickets to get tickets to the Railroad Days out at the Pullman Museum. So call us now. Next two callers, you get a pair of tickets. Back to my conversation with Perri Irmer. Perri, I asked you a question, but before we get to that, and we may pick that up when we meet, but I do want to ask you this impact that's coming from Washington on Black history, on Black museums, on the National Museum in Washington. How are all these things affecting you there at the DU?
Oh, man. Well, he tried to cancel some significant grants that we had received from federal agencies. That was well over $100,000, but thanks to the lawsuits that had been filed, that had to be reversed. So we'll be getting some of that money back. But just in general, this assault on history, and especially targeted assault on Black history, it's just despicable. And this effort to either erase or rewrite history at the various historical sites and parks around the country, it just makes you sick. And it makes our role and our mission so much more important. Because we tell the truth at the DuSable Museum. The truth is told at all of the Black History museums across the country. And nobody, no administration is going to erase that truth or rewrite it to their preferred narrative. It is so important that Black history is told by Black people, is narrated that way, is told by folks that have lived those experiences, and we know the truth, and we have to educate our children and everybody's children on that truth. Knowledge is the greatest power of all. Knowledge spurs you on when you're faced with a challenge or a crisis, and that's what we impart. And we don't focus our entirety of our exhibitions or programming on enslavement, but we start our story of African American history in Africa, where we were free people. We were born free people to beautiful civilizations and accomplishments and culture and loving families. And that is what we have been, trying to get back to all these years as we really fight for America to fulfill the promise that it made to every person in America, not just white men. So it makes our mission critically important. You combine that with the Obama Presidential Center, and I'm hoping that with this elected school board that we can get civics back into the public school curriculum, that we can get expanded Black history and American history told from the perspective of the people rather than the naysayers and ne'er-do-wells and I won't even say victors, because you look at a dialogue about the Civil War and all the memorials and monuments to traitors. And how does that still stand? Even though we've done away with some of them, this dude in Washington is trying to change the names of different federal properties back to honor the traitors. And think about what that says. So, you posed the question to me before the break. What is our never again? Never again are we going to have our voting rights stripped of us or denied. That is the most important thing, not only in saving our democracy, but in saving everything that you and I grew up, understanding the promise of America to be. And we have to, be able to educate folks as to why voting is so important. It's not just the presidential election, it's every election. It's the school board election all the way up to the presidency. Because when you look at the Supreme Court, that is the consequence of not voting. You get those people, with the exception of Ketanji, who is fighting the good fight. And I'm glad she's young and strong and beautiful, strong, brilliant. She's smarter than all the rest of them put together, Rufus. And I am just, thrilled that, that Biden did that one thing. Getting her on the court is going to end up being one of the most impactful appointments in the history of this country. So that's my never again, is never will we have our voting rights stripped or denied from us again. And we won't let our history be rewritten or erased.
Certainly appreciate that, Perri. We have so much more to talk about, which is why we have to do it much more often. Look, folks, Ann and Emmett happening this weekend. It's just this weekend. You want to get down to the do. Check it out. We'll give away some tickets tomorrow at Perri's generous offering back here. But for everybody, Perri, thank you so much for being on with us this morning. We appreciate all that you do and look forward to talking with you again real soon, because I got a lot more questions.
Thanks so much, Rufus. Thank you so much.
You.
Anytime. Just let me know. Take care. Bye.
Will do. Folks, we're going to leave it right. I got a tea time. Balls are up at 9:00, and it's 9:00. But as always, Annette, appreciate you for all that you do, that you give. And Titus, thank you for keeping all these things together, wherever we are and however we do it. And folks, I'll ask you, as I always do, as you go through the course of the day, you'll come across people dealing with things that you know absolutely nothing about. So please be kind, always. And with that, Annette, tell us what's in the headlines, and T-Dub, take us home.
A cool start, but turning sunny and 79 on this Thursday, July 23rd, 2026. I'm the North headlines. Good and bad news for a group of Chicago Haitians. Their temporary protection status, set to end tomorrow, has been extended, however, only the weekend. Mayor Johnson's proposed referendum for a millionaire's tax will not make it on the ballot because it was filed too late for consideration. And Chicago's annual Gospel Fest returns to Millennium Park this weekend, and WVON's very own gospel sister, Pam Morris-Walton, is being honored by Mayor Brandon Johnson. At 10:30 this morning, she will be live in studio on the Midday Show to talk about her personal journey. National news from the Black Information Network is next on Chicago's only urban talk radio station, 1690 AM WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's 9:02.